Hi everyone, this is a very special video because we will see where Chromium browser will run better on the Linux operating system and also FreeBSD. But before start, please leave me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you found this kind of video useful. So let's start. These are the operating system that we will test. So we have Debian, then we have FreeBSD with KDE, and it's packaged by FuryBSD, but it's FreeBSD. Then we have MX Linux MX, TinyCore Plus, which is TinyCore Linux. This is PuppyLinux, Alpine Linux, antiX, and Artix, which is Archlinux based with the KDE Plasma desktop environment. Why to do a test like this? I know there is Chromium OS or Chrome OS, which is a Linux operating system optimized to run Chromium, but I like the freedom to run also Linux specific software, and Chromium OS do not support very well the Linux software. So I will try to test minimal Linux distribution to see how they run Chromium, and also because the RAM is precious, especially if you run this operating system on an old machine. So this is Debian. All the virtual machine have the operating system installed, and all the virtual machine have 2 GB of RAM. So we will see the boot, and we will do some tests about the RAM consumption and also the software that runs on this operating system. Okay, so this is Debian. So let's log in. This is a normal Debian with KDE, and Debian uses systemd to manage the processes, while the majority of the other operating system do not use systemd, use openrc or other minimal way to run the software. So let's start with the terminal. This is a console, and let's increase the size. So this is neofetch. Okay, so as you can see, this is Debian GNU Linux Bullseye, kernel 5.7 and 1093 and etc. packages with Plasma and kwin. This is the memory consumption, but I prefer to check it with htop. So this is htop. We have for a just booted OS 500 megs about of 2 GB of RAM. We can also check the processes that are running. So systemctl status, and as you can see, there are many processes. So the bus, pulseaudio, etc., and all the processes are in a way or another connected to systemd. So we have a system like this, and now we can try to open Chromium, and let's check also the memory now. htop. we have almost 700 megs, and let's do just some basic tests. We can check the version of Chrome, and it's 83. Okay, and let's do just a simple test, WebM test, just to play a video to see how it runs. So let's do this one. Okay. So the videos plays quite fluidly with 2 megs of RAM, and it's okay. So let's close this one, and let's check again htop. Okay, about 500. Okay, so this was the basic test I did on Debian. And we will do the same test in the other operating system. If you don't care of the operating system, just skip to the one you care in the description with the timestamps. Okay, let's close Debian brutally, so force shutdown. And now let's try with FreeBSD Fury. Okay. FreeBSD don't use systemd, so okay, let's see how it goes. And many minimal operating systems are based on Debian, but some others are based on Archlinux, or some other are completely not related to the most known Linux operating system. Okay, this is FreeBSD booting, and I like that FreeBSD have gray and yellow fonts to run. And some operating systems are quite problematic to run because they don't expose correctly the problems like this one. I don't know why I can't use the login manager in FreeBSD, but we will find an hack to fix temporarily this problem. Okay, so I will do startx. Startx, we have a minimal Xorg environment. So okay, and here I can do start plasma x11. Okay, I like just to see the memory consumption, and in some Linux or FreeBSD operating system, sometimes I get very weird bugs, but the point of this video is just to see the memory consumption of Chromium. Okay, we have KDE, and it's running. So let's do the same test again. So let's use the terminal, and so neo fetch, and this is FreeBSD. Let's do again. Okay, FreeBSD 12. In particular, it's FuryBSD, which already have KDE Plasma quite configured. And so Plasma, kwin, and QXL driver, it's okay, and 900 megs, but I prefer to run htop, and htop says 591 megs. And if we want to check all the service status all, let's see. No, okay, I don't know how to list all the services in FreeBSD, but this is the system. So let's open Chromium, and we have a very updated version of Chromium on FreeBSD. Okay, so here about Chromium, and we are using Chromium 84, so 84 not 83, and WebM test, just to play a video, and this one. Okay, it works. Just let's see the consumption with the Chromium open. It works. The audio isn't very good sometimes. You can see some crinkle sometimes, but it's this one. So 823 with just Chrome opened. And yeah, this was basically the test that I wanted to do with FreeBSD. So I force close, and now let's try Linux Mint. Sorry, not Linux Mint, but Linux MX. And unfortunately, after the updates, internal updates of the packages, grub is broken, so I didn't investigate much, but I decided to not continue with Linux MX. But I have another very similar operating system which share most of the components of Linux MX, which is antiX. antiX is based on Debian, like Linux MX, but it doesn't use xfce desktop environment. It uses IceWM, and I think it's more lightweight than Linux MX. So probably it's the most efficient Debian-like operating system with the GUI, but we will try. Okay, so it's ready, and let's do the same test again. So neofetch, and as you can see, this is Debian 10, and the kernel is 4.9, and this is IceWM, and as you can see, we also use the QXL driver. And the memory, here we have 170, but I prefer to use htop. And it's unbelievable, 170 is the real usage of this environment, just booted. So let's list the services, and here the command should work. Status all. So okay, so basically we have udev, the log system, and this is to manage the connection, I think, and ACPID and Chrome. So we have less services at the startup, and we can try to run Chrome. And it's a little bit confusing, but we have application, internet, Chromium. So, and let's see the version. Version is 83 Chromium, so it's quite up to date. And let's try again htop. And here we have 428 megs with Chrome opened. And let's do the same test again. So webm test. And this one. And it's it's weird because antiX Linux do not run pulseaudio. So as you can see, you can use the browser, but the videos do not work well. And luckily, we can use just run the pulseaudio or use something to run it at the startup. So let's do again the test htop. And now we have 450 megs used. And let's try again. And now it works, luckily. And it's very fluid. I mean, if you are looking for a Debian-like operating system just to use Chromium, I think antiX is very fast, very minimal, as you can see. So we tried again. Yes, it's 83, and yeah, that's it. So let's close everything just to check again the htop command. It's 193, so it's very efficient operating system. And let's close also this brutally. And now we try something not very known. It's TinyCore Linux, and it's a really weird version of Linux because it doesn't use the most common tools that we are used in Debian or Archlinux based Linux distros, and it's a very minimal UI. And yeah, what is doing? No, it's okay. TinyCore Linux. Boom. This is the operating system. I didn't find a way to change the background. I don't know if it is supported, but we have a nice dock with animation in this Tiny Linux. So let's try. Oh my god, it forgot the tools. So okay. So let's try to install those tools. I didn't find a way to install in a persistent way the tools on this Linux distro. Leave me a comment what I'm doing wrong, because I don't know. So this is the package manager. So I want htop, which is this one, and I do okay. And I tried to do download and load. Okay. And also Chromium. Okay, download and load. Cool. And then, if I remember correctly, let's try this. I don't remember how to install the software in this with this package manager. So load up locally. So htop load. So this is htop. I don't know why I have two windows. So 428 megs here. I don't know if you see the numbers. And let's try with Chromium to do the same test again. And it's loading something. Okay, we have Chromium, but unfortunately it isn't a very up-to-date Chromium. So it reports Chromium 23, so it's quite old, but let's try the test again. Okay, this. And it seems the audio do not work. I don't know why, but let's see the htop usage. No, let's close this. I just want to see the usage of the system plus Chromium opened. So htop. And we have 513. Okay, so this was TinyCore Linux in this Chromium test. And then let's try Bionic. This is PuppyLinux, and unfortunately, like Linux MX, also PuppyLinux broke after the update. So yeah, this was my feedback about this OS. So let's close this, and then we have Alpine Linux. This is an operating system which is mainly used for the containers. And I did a script that I will share in another video about how to use this minimal Linux to install KDE and also all the other services that are required to run it correctly. It uses openrc instead of systemd, and yeah, this is Alpine Linux. So let's open the terminal and neofetch Alpine 3.12, kernel 5.4, and Plasma desktop environment with the QXL driver. And here it reports 216 megs, and with htop we have 214 megs. So it's a very light operating system that runs KDE. It's impressive. So we run Chromium, and we will do the same test again. And here we have Chromium 83 and WebM test. It runs a little bit slower, but I think it's because inside the VM, I don't know why, probably Alpine Linux with the graphical interface is slower. And same video again. Yeah, it's a little bit laggy inside the VM, but I test this operating system and in a real machine, and it's like the other Linux operating system. So probably there is some kind of bugs in the virtual machine emulation. I don't know why, but well, it's very efficient. But you need to install manually KDE and all the pieces to have this kind of environment. Let's try the system with the browser open. So htop with the Chromium open, and we have 339 megs of 2 GB to have the Chromium and the operating system loaded. Probably this is the most efficient operating system that runs Chromium in a usable way. Okay, so let's close this brutally again, and now we have Artix. And Artix is Archlinux based operating system, but without systemd. So we save a little bit of RAM, and we can see also the software which runs are just a few processes. Okay, we have this Artix animation at boot time. Cool. So we also have another browser which is Falcon, and it's a WebKit browser for KDE, and it works quite well. But we will do the same test again. So let's do neofetch, and as you can see, this is Artix Linux kernel 5.7 and Plasma with kwin and QXL driver. Here it's reported 376 megs, but I will check with the htop. And here we have 364 megs. So let's do the Chromium test. Okay, and this is the version 83, and let's do htop again, and we have 542 to have Chromium opened with the operating system loaded. And let's do also rc status, and these are the processes that are running. As you can see, are quite minimal. So the bus, network manager, XDM, Chromium, Bluetooth, basically it's it. So let's do the same test again. So webm test, just to see how fluid it is to run the videos. Okay. This one. yeah, it's quite fluid, I think. And I'll do the same test also with this other browser, which is Falcon. And I think Falcon is a quite a good alternative to Chrome. It's quite compatible with HTML technologies. So WebM test. I have different results here. Okay, so let's see the usage with just this browser opened, htop, and we have 653 megs. Yeah, this was basically the test that, as you can see, there are several combinations of operating system that you can use to run Chromium, especially when you have a little bit of RAM, or you want to use your RAM as much as efficient as possible. You can see you have different operating system to pick. And so, conclusion, if you want a Debian based operating system, I think antiX is the most usable and friendly operating system to run Chromium. If you want to be a little bit more experimental, I think Alpine Linux is the one which uses less RAM. And if you want something in between, I think Artix also is a very quite standard Linux operating system, which is also efficient in terms of RAM. But leave me a comment below. So which operating system do you prefer when you want the maximum efficiency in your RAM usage for Chromium? And that's it. Give me a thumbs up if you found this video useful. And here you have 2 videos. This is the video that I recommend for you, and this is the video that YouTube recommends for you. That's it. Bye.